Take a few moments and listen with us as I chat with the co-founder of the Bridging Gaps nonprofit, Casey Moritz. Bridging Gaps is supplying over 100 backpacks of food for the weekend for students at Broadford Elementary, and that's just the start.
Good morning. We're sitting here with Casey Moritz, and he is the founder of Bridging the Gaps nonprofit.
Bridging gaps.
Bridging Gaps. Okay, awesome. Well, we're going to chat a little bit this morning. So I love to hear from Casey in his own words about his background and his nonprofit. So take it away. Tell us what Bridging Gaps is all about and how you got involved.
When my wife and I moved up here, we kind of noticed that there was a big disparity kind of in the community. A lot of people, don't weren't really aware of some of the things kind of going on in the community, or, um, especially with the transient population. You come, you do your vacation, you enjoy all the great things there are to do here, and you don't realize that a lot of the people that are facilitating your ability to do that are really struggling, right? And so we started out by doing random acts of kindness, where once a month or a couple times a month we would go somewhere and maybe leave, an extra tip, or we drive by and see kids playing outside and they didn't have a play set, so we would anonymously drop one off in their driveway, and just do little things like that. And um, we kind of thought, we could have a bigger impact. We could do more. I'm a neuroscientist by training, and my wife has a PhD in clinical biochemistry. So when we put our heads together, we can typically come up with some pretty good ideas. And so we actually were watching a church message at our house, and it was talking about, what are you waiting for? Like, if you have thoughts or ideas or you see a need, why are you sitting around, right? What are you waiting for? So we kind of used that as our jumping point to kind of start thinking about, what really are the needs? How can we be more impactful? And this is going to be super scientific, but what we did was we just started calling the schools and said, what do you need? What are your biggest needs? Where are your gaps? And um, some of the schools were really interested in chatting with us, and some of the schools were not so interested in chatting with us. And we ended up talking to Broadford Elementary, and we have a really good connection there now. And this Amy Egress, she's the community needs specialist, or something like that at the school, and her job is basically to make sure that the kids have what they need and that they're safe, and that kind of thing. And she said, food insecurity, it's a really big problem in our school. 50% of the kids in our school
Wow.
are on free or reduced price lunch, which I think is countywide, right?
Mhm.
It's not just Broadford. And so we said, sure, we'll help you. We'll get back to you.
We'll
and
figure
so,
this out. Yeah.
yeah. And so we've never run a nonprofit before. We're both scientists, but we reached out to some people that we knew kind of downstate in Northern Virginia as well, and kind of mirrored our program off of another similar program, where we provide 100 children every weekend, breakfast, lunch, morning snack, and afternoon snack for the entire school year. So we're in our second year of operation now. Last year, we were able to successfully complete that mission. Whether there were snow days, holidays, we try to plan ahead and coordinate with the school, and we drop off 100 bags of food for 100 children for every weekend. So
Wow.
that's where it started.
That's crazy. And it's funny that you mentioned it wasn't very scientific. How uncomfortable did that make you to kind of go against your training and say,
It's kind of like common sense, right?
Yeah.
If you want to fill a gap in a community, and there's a 1,000 gaps you can choose, but which ones are going to be the most impactful? Which ones are going to be logistically feasible to execute on? And especially when we started, we're only two people, right? We didn't know a lot of people in the community yet because we hadn't been here a long time, and we ended up looking where we can get food the cheapest, and also meet kind of the logistical requirements of being able to do the actual packing event, and shelf life, and things kids will eat, things kids kids will open. So we try to do it so that they don't need any additional ingredients. So you could send them with mac and cheese, but they might not have milk or butter, or they might be the younger side of the kids and they won't be able to prepare it themselves. So at the time, our son was 4, and we could have left him home alone for the weekend with one of these bags of food, and he wouldn't have perished because of hunger. Let's just put it that way, right? And so it's things that they maybe just add water, or they don't need a can opener. We found out from one of these other programs that a problem they had early on was they would send things with cans and the kids would bring them back because they don't have can openers at home, right? Or they don't have a lot of parental support or family support to be able to help them do these things. So simple things kids will eat, things kids that don't have, like they don't need extra ingredients, that kind of thing. And so
Can you tell us what was in last week's backpack or bag?
yeah, so there's 16 items. Let's see if I can name most of them. We just added ramen, which is an extra kind of meal. It's inexpensive, so it doesn't cost much to add to the bags, but we just added ramen. We have pull tab Chef Boyardee. We try to buy variety packs of things. So if this week you get spaghetti and meatballs, next week you might get ravioli, and the week after that you might get, I mean, it's all random kind of how they get it, but we try to do variety packs. There's a couple different Nutri-Grain bars. There's the fruit and nut ones, which are the purple ones. There's the sweet and nutty is the peanut butter, peanut ones. The green hard,
As we're
those
sitting here
bars are
talking,
called.
I see you kind of looking off at like a photographic memory, like the purple bars, the green bars. It sounds
Well, when we do our
good.
packing
Yeah.
events, we usually put tables up
Yeah.
and we just say,
One of each.
item 1, here is the Chef Boyardee. Item 2, here's the Easy Mac, or you just add water. Item 3 is we have Smart Popcorn, we have pretzels, we have goldfish, um, fruit cups, applesauce, fruit snacks. So these are the types of things. So what we try to do is, and this other program that we've worked with is they consulted a pediatric nutritionist, and they developed their whole strategy based on, well, the first thing that she said was any food is better than no food. So that was a really easy start, right? But then they tried to, and what we try to do is balance logistical feasibility. So we have to be able to go get the items. They have to be able to be in our storage bins for about a month, right? Without freezing, without going bad, because we don't have indoor storage. So there's all these, but also nutrition, things kids will eat, and that kind of thing. So I don't even know if I can list all the items at this point, but that's a big chunk of them.
Yeah.
So it's so for breakfasts we do the fruit cups, the cereal, like those little mini cereal boxes, oatmeal. That's and then lunches, the Chef Boyardee, the mac and cheese, and the ramen. The snacks are kind of the bagged things,
Popcorn,
the
some
popcorns,
fruit
and
snacks.
yeah, and everything is brand name, and it's like reduced sodium or no sugar added, that kind of stuff.
I have several nieces and nephews that go to Broadford Elementary, and everything that you're listing is right up their alley. I know that they love their fruit snacks and their applesauces and the fruit cups, and
Yeah, and what's pretty incredible about it is it sounds like a lot of different items, and we did a lot of research early on. Where can we get it the cheapest? And what we found with Sam's Club is
really?
the best way to go. We were down before we added ramen, which I think is about 10 or 15 cents per child per weekend. We were down at $6.40 per kid per weekend.
Wow.
And it's funny, as I started to say earlier, it was just my wife and I, and we would order food delivery from Sam's Club. It would come via FedEx. The FedEx guy would drive up in our driveway and just start kicking these giant boxes off the back of his truck. And they're massive. They were 5 foot by 3 foot, and it's full of all these different items. It's all mixed together in there, however it just kids comes. And then I was shoving them into our basement, unloading them, packing them floor to ceiling in our basement, which isn't a very large space. And then we would do a packing event every Sunday and see if we could just get 100 bags packed every week. And maybe it was just one volunteer. It was me and my wife, Lisa, and our son, Landon. And I'd have a work call or something, and I would just be packing bags during my work call because we just needed to make sure we had 100 by the end of the weekend. And so that was pretty difficult at the beginning. And we quickly realized that if we could get a bunch of volunteers together, we could do 2 or 3 months of packing events at one time with a bunch of people. And that really helped us build some connections and some relationships.
Where did that 100 number come from initially? Did you just pull it out of a hat, or was it a percentage of students at Broadford? How did you identify that?
Well, I think when we talked to Broadford originally, and I might have my numbers off, but I think she said 600 was their need.
Wow. So 1,200 students in the school?
I
give or
don't,
take?
yeah, I don't
Okay.
remember exactly, but in we were like, wow. So we wanted to do something that was impactful enough. We didn't want to say, hey, well, we're going to feed 10 of your kids, because that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. I mean, 10 is 10, which is 10 kids that wouldn't be eating, but we wanted to have an impact, but we wanted to make sure that we could do it, right? We didn't want to commit to something and then just way over our heads. We've never run a nonprofit before. We've never done food bags like this before. I mean, everything was kind of new for us. And so we said, well, 100, how much money would we need for 100? Well, it's about $6.40. So, how do we pull that? How do we pull our total budget? How do we deliver them? You know, we both work full time. I sometimes have to travel for work, things like that. So we kind of said, well, 100 is reasonable. We could figure out how to do 100. And so that's kind of where we started.
Yeah. So what do you do for your day job?
Uh,
You're a scientist, but translate that
yes.
for this.
Oh,
the
so
layman.
I run a research program for
Okay.
the federal government, which is the focus of that is to develop medical solutions for warfighters that are injured in combat.
Oh.
So the idea is to keep them in combat, obviously heal their wounds, treat their issues, and then think about what type of problems they're going to have in future kind of warfare scenarios, and then start developing medical solutions for those.
And you definitely knew you were going to do this when you were 5.
When I was 5, I wanted to be an airplane pilot.
Okay.
And sometimes I still wish I was.
So how did the Bridging Gaps nonprofit get formed? Did you have a little bit of a budget that you put in and said, this is our starting point, we're going to just kind of see how this goes?
Yeah. So we kind of thought about, how much money could we reasonably come up with? So we said, well, if we put in a certain amount, then my wife's company, she works for a pharmaceutical company out of Boston. They do a match up to a certain number. And so we were like, wow, just like that, we could take what we want to put in and we can double it. And now we're already well on our way to being able to execute on a year, right? And then we, very early on, my wife's dad helped us put some money in, and then we just did a lot of grassroots kind of fundraising stuff. We did our very first event ever was Oakland Kickoff to Summer, and then we would just kind of do every event, whether it's the wine walk, whether it's we did Autumn Glory one year. Really, anytime that there was just kind of some small community event, we had a banner printed and we just went around and started saying, hey guys, we're Bridging Gaps. We're here in Garrett County and we're trying to help people in Garrett County. And if you got $1, that's 1/6 of a kid for a weekend, and every little bit helps. And the first year we were really struggling to get, it was like $30,000. We don't operate with any real overhead. So I would say our overhead would be the bins that we have to purchase to be able to put the food in. Sometimes it's kind of a one-time purchase, but they get broken after they're used a while and that kind of thing. The bags themselves, the little brown bags themselves. And I mean, no one takes any overhead. We have insurance. That way, if something happens, we have to have insurance, but no one takes salaries. We don't, if we need something. So when we started scaling up, we needed a trailer to be able to haul the food and stuff in. My wife and I bought the trailer ourselves and then donated it to the nonprofit. We use our personal vehicles, and we don't charge the nonprofit for use of our space or use of our vehicle or anything. So we try to just be very straightforward. Money comes in, it goes to exactly what we need in order to execute the nonprofit. So the first year we were really close. I mean, we were pulling money in and then buying food at the same time just to be able to finish out the school year. And then as we've developed relationships, we had a couple nice donors, anonymous donors who did a big push for us and helped gave us a good chunk for this next year. We started applying for grants. We did, the local Walmart. We got a grant or two from them. The Sam's Club in Morgantown is where we get our food. We got a grant from them. It was really cool. Someone called me one day and they were like, "Hey, are you guys bridging gaps?" Yeah. Oh, well, we live out in Pittsburgh. We run a Verizon store franchise out there. And we've been coming to the lake for years and years and years. And we would love to help you guys out. We do this giving thing each year, and will you apply for it? And we want to sponsor you for it. And so we did. And so that was Wireless Zone um, out of Pittsburgh. And Tom Sikora was the guy who called, and they were great. We ended up getting a couple grants from them. We were the Mountain Laurel Medical Center nonprofit of the quarter. They do this thing where their employees get to pick a nonprofit. And so, but I mean, it kind of started out with begging for spare change, and now we're still doing the same thing, but we try to do that at a larger scale. We've applied for a number of grants, the United Way grant. I mean, I couldn't really even list them all. A number of grants, both kind of in the community and outside the community. We actually just applied for a substantial grant for expansion. So if we get that, we'll be required to expand our operations to a second county nearby. So there's a few counties in West Virginia and a couple counties in Maryland that qualify for that. So um, yeah, that's kind of where it started. I'm the type of person that whenever I do something, I do it, and enough is never really enough. Okay, we did 100 kids 2 years in a row. We got our feet under us. We kind of have strategy. Wouldn't say it's easy now, but it sure is a lot easier than before. So let's make it as hard as it was before by doing more. So we're looking to expand maybe 150 next year, depending on how some of these grants shape up. Might be going to another county. So that's kind of where we're at. We're just trying to have an impact.
So what does the success benchmark look like for the end of this year? Does it quote unquote end at the end of the school year, or?
So, yes, somewhat, it ends at the end of the school year. We use the summertime to kind of think ahead to the next school year. We have a board meeting coming up, so everything that we do is by the books. We're a legitimate 501(c). We have to have board meetings. If we raise money for food, like if I say, "Hey, will you give us money to help our nonprofit? We're raising money for food." That's what we use it for, right? We try to be very agile though in the way that we operate and if with our mission. So as I was mentioning earlier, we drop off food to the school each week, and it gives us actually a really good touch point with the school each week. And so one time I was dropping off food and I was talking to Amy, and she's really great. And I said, "How are things going? You guys got what you need?" And she was like, "We're coming into winter. We need shoes." She used this term that I've never heard before, talking shoes. It's when your sole doesn't connect to the rest of your shoe, and so they flap like a mouth. So we got all these kids running around with their toes out the top and these talking shoes. And said, "Well, we can't use our existing budget for shoes because that's not what people agreed to give us money for. But what we can do is we can reach out to our network. We can reach out to some of the people that have helped. We can and see what we can pull together." And we were able to buy 72 pairs of shoes and 144 pairs of socks and give them to the kids. So it was pretty cool, actually. The company that we went through with the shoes, they are also a nonprofit, and they're just volunteers that make these shoes. They're American made, unisex. I mean, some of them are pink and some of them are blue. So there's like different colors, but essentially unisex style shoes. athletic type shoes. If I was wearing them now, you probably wouldn't notice unless you had experienced this company before. They're very nice. And then each pair of shoes comes with a pair of socks, and you have to buy a certain case. I think it was, 12 pairs of shoes in a case or something like that. And so we bought all these shoes from this other nonprofit. So we're supporting another nonprofit.
That's
And
great.
so that was a really cool thing that we were able to do. There's some other little side quest things too, just being associated with the school. They have a hygiene closet, a cleaning supplies closet. So sometimes when we apply for grants, we'll put a little extra money in the grants for some of these other little things just to kind of support the needs of the school. It makes it easy because we don't have to come up with our own mission. We can just help other people execute on what they're trying to do. And that's something that I think that we can be pretty good at. So kind of doing that has helped us create some unique relationships as well.
Well, it sounds like you've identified Broadford Elementary in particular as just having a wide gap that you're trying to bridge. So it may be food, it may be clothing, it may be hygiene, but these kids are in need. So
Right, and I would say it's equal throughout the community. I don't think that Broadford kids have any unique needs.
Mhm.
What's nice about working with them to start is that they're the larger school, and so their needs are probably more apparent. As we work out bugs in our system and our programs and how we operate, if we can kind of work it with them, then we can expand to other community schools
Sure.
as well, right? We know that there's needs at Yawk Glades. We know there's needs at Crellin. It's on our list. We've talked to some folks at those schools and they've expressed interest in participating and being involved. But for us, it comes down to being able to do it, right? We
Bandwidth.
don't, right,
Yep.
right. The funding is a big piece, right? And then having volunteers to be able to come pack the bags. So we pack about 1,000 to 1,100 bags per packing event. It takes us the whole day. Volunteers typically come for 3-4 hours, depending how many we get, and kind of knock it out. It's been great.
Now, what does 1,000 bags of breakfast, lunch, snacks look like? Does it fill a box
So here, these bins here, these are just Home Depot bins. These are the cheapest bins we could find,
Mhm.
right? And there are 15 bags of food in this bin.
Okay.
So this is 100 bags right here, and that's 7 bins. So 7 storage bins times 100. So
It's a lot.
it's a lot. Yeah.
So you mentioned a trailer. Does it take you one trip to drop off the 100 bags? Or?
So I can fit these 7 bins in the back of my truck.
Uh-huh.
We have a volunteer. She's been great. Angelia, she does a lot of the food drop-offs for us to kind of take some of that off of us because it has to be done in the middle of the week during the day.
Yeah.
Right. So it's
Okay.
sometimes challenging. I have a, what is it, 7x12 trailer, and that's usually full. So I take that trailer to Sam's Club now. We don't get FedEx delivery anymore. I take that food trailer to Sam's Club. They load 4 pallets of food in the back of the trailer with their forklift. Then we unload all of that at our packing event. So we've done really cool packing events. We've had a couple packing events at Garrett Christian Academy. So that's kind of a unique relationship where we have the kids that are in the private school here in Garrett County that are volunteering their time and really doing what they learn at school, right? Is caring and kindness and service and those kind of things that they teach there at Garrett Christian. And they do a packing event for us. So they'll bring each grade through and each grade will pack a bunch of bags and then we load them up. We've done one with the Junior Girl Scouts Troop 4257 of Laurel, Maryland. So all these Girl Scouts came up with their parents and troop leaders, and they stayed at a local house here in the area, and they did a packing event for us. We've actually taken our food and we've driven all the way downstate to Ellicott City, where the St. John's Episcopal Church of Ellicott City, there's a Korean church associated with that, where the Korean congregation actually packed all the bags, they binned everything, and then we all loaded it back in the trailer and we hauled it all back. the Oakland Martial Arts Taekwondo studio down in Brodax Plaza. They let us use their building because it's real wide open, and we had a bunch of volunteers from the local community come and do a packing event there. Um, so it's been good with some of the creative partnerships just for the packing events because I mean 1,100 bags is a lot of food. So
Do you ever have an opportunity to make the connection with the students receiving the food? Do they have a little tag, or do you ever get any feedback, or do you ever get any negative?
So, we try to not have interactions with the kids of the school. We don't want to kind of breach their privacy. We don't really want to interact with them. So the school chooses the kids um, based on what their information is and their access to the children. We have heard some really good things.
Good.
We've heard some surprising things. One thing, so we're only helping the school age kids, but there's a need below that. So siblings sometimes. And so sometimes the little kids will come back to school and say, "Oh, my little sibling loves the veggie straws." And so I always share, these with um, but Amy has told us some stuff about the kids and how it's been really transformative for some of them. I mean, because if you think about it, and this is what she told us before, is that uh, food disparity here in the county is real, right? I think about 50% of all kids in the county are on free and reduced price lunch. And so they would come home or they would come to school on the weekends and have had either not great food or not much food or not enough food. And they come to school on Monday and they have stomach aches, they have headaches, um, and that's hard for learning, right? And as a neuroscientist, as we come full circle, the national average, I think, is about um, economically disadvantaged children with food insecurity, on average, score 2 grades below their counterparts on standardized testing in math and English by fourth grade. So by fourth grade, when you have a hungry child that is not receiving what they're needing, by fourth grade already, it's possible that they're 2 years behind their counterparts. And that doesn't set them up for their future, right? And that's a self-licking ice cream cone. That's a perpetual issue that when they're not doing well in school, well, then they have behavioral issues, and then their behavioral issues result in not doing as well in school, and then you have their home life, which sometimes isn't as positive as other kids. And so then, do they do as well in high school? Well, maybe, right? Then once you get into high school, you can kind of start having your own impact on your life, and you can kind of start doing some things. But sometimes you're already in like this vicious cycle, and then do those kids go to college or trade school, and what kind of jobs, and then here we are again, kind of back to where we started, and then they start having kids, and who typically has kids at a younger age, and then how well are they doing financially, and then are their kids in this, and so you can see how the cycle will continue to grow and grow and grow. And so that's why we're trying to, we call our program Feeding Futures, because that's essentially what we're trying to do is, yeah, food insecurity is only one piece. And yeah, we're only right now feeding 100 kids, but it's 100 kids that have a little bit better chance at being successful. And I've seen, because of what we've done with the nonprofit, I've been involved with the steering committee at the school where I can kind of see some of the needs. And even in some of their studies of kind of what's going on with the kids, you can see it even at Broadford, even at the Garrett County schools, that economically disadvantaged children are doing worse than their counterparts. And so Bridging Gaps is trying to bridge that
Bridge the
gap.
gap.
As terrible as it sounds.
No, I think it's very accurate, and you've identified a need, and you're bridging gap. Um, so what does success look like for bridging gaps, but then also your family personally? And do you have a pie in the sky sort of goal? Do you want to reach 1 million kids, or something kind of crazy?
This is always the worst question. Like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I'm trying. I don't know what I'm gonna have for dinner later today. um, but I don't know. Maybe we'll look back in 10 years and say, holy cow, how are we running this statewide or this regional nonprofit? And, how are we doing all these things and how have we scaled up? Or maybe we'll be staying focused and making sure that, maybe 500 kids is enough, and also providing shoes, and also, so I don't know. I don't think there's ever really an end in sight when there's people in need. And, if there's things that we can do to help, then we'll probably certainly keep trying. Like I said before, it was really hard at the beginning, and I think that was kind of part of the challenge and a little bit part of the fun and the drive. It's gotten easier at some levels, and so we've made it harder for ourselves by expanding. And so I think as long as we have the bandwidth to keep going, or we have volunteers to keep helping, and we have ways to do it, I think we're going to keep growing. One of our goals is to eventually fundraise to the point where we can start a trust, so that we can start using the trust to build additional uh, uh, income, right? We don't want to take money from the community that we're trying to help, but we know that there's a lot of resources in the community that can help, right? And so how do we leverage the available resources without pulling on the scarce resources? And then how can we pull money from outside the community, whether that be grants or external donors and things like that, to help bolster our mission? So that's part of what we do.
So I'm looking at the flyer here, and I'll share it in the show notes. The long-term goal is $500,000. That's what it's going to take to build that trust?
Yeah, I mean, if we were to have $500,000 in a trust, I think we can operate on our current food budget.
Mm-hmm.
So then we can keep working and keep staying focused and doing what we can accomplish while also continuing to build. And that's, if you think about some of the most successful nonprofits that around, right? The Gates Foundation, all these nonprofits, they have a commercial type income I usually have a lot more examples, right? They have these commercial type incomes that support their mission, right? The NCAA is one of the largest nonprofits, and where they pull money in from their sources to support student athletes, which is their mission, right? And so we have all these different nonprofits that are very successful, and they're not just out asking donors. Obviously, they have a lot of donors, but they used their early years to establish a method that they could become more self-sustainable. And so that's what I envision, and for Bridging Gaps, is developing a way that we can continue to help people while also sustaining our mission.
It sounds fantastic. I didn't mean to put you on the spot
No, it's okay.
about your long-term goals. I mean, it seems like your personality is just kind of, to your point, it's getting a little bit easier. And now what's next? Looking to the future. How can you help? How can you be efficient? How can you leverage the resources that you do have? So I really appreciate that perspective, and just trying to look around the community and see what you can do. Like the shoes is a great example. So coming up, you have a Night Under the Circus Lights event coming up. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so there's a couple things that we noticed when we first, even now, so we're in our second year of operation, and we'll still run into people and they'll say, never heard of you. Or we'll be at a community event and say, hey, would you like to check out what we're doing? And they'll say, where's my money going? Well, it's coming here in Garrett County.
I feel like that's the Appalachian in us. Sorry, in advance.
No, it's totally fine.
We're a very helpful and generous community, but we've got to kind of get the lay of the land before we're gonna
and so
participate.
and also one thing that we're trying to do is reach the right people that can help us have an impact. Right? There's a lot of people in this community that have started small businesses and have grown them. And there's a lot of people that have run successful nonprofits and have expanded them. There's a lot of people that have been very successful in their careers and now they're looking to give back. There's people that just love this community and pour their heart and soul in this community. And so how do we reach all of these people, and how do we let them know, A, that we exist, B, that what we do is real and it's for the community, and then how do we access their resources, whether that's their knowledge or their support or their volunteer time, whatever it is. And so the gala is really is our first gala, right? We know people like to get out, dress up, have a good time. put on some outfits that they don't usually get to wear.
Put
Put
on
out,
their dancing
right?
shoes.
Put on your dancing shoes, get your circus gear on, and let's have a good time, right? And so, we have a kind of a multi-purpose, right? Obviously, our number one thing is we're trying to raise money. We're trying to raise money to be able to feed more kids, to support, do more things in the community. Um, not everyone wants to come and open their wallets, and that's totally fine. Come buy tickets, learn more about our nonprofit. We'll tell you some of the cool stuff we have going on. I think Amy from the school will be there. She's gonna give some of the testimonials from some of the families and some of the schools. Uh, we have a real live circus performer coming, and
Wow.
she's going to do some circus acts. Um, and so it's going to be a great time. We have a silent auction, a lot of things donated by local businesses, local artists, crafters, things like that. Um, and really our goal is to raise money, but also raise awareness, build trust, develop relationships. You know, if you've been successful, we're new. I'm not going to tell you, hey, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to tell you, I'm trying to figure it out as we go. And if you have information that you can share to help us. So that's kind of the purpose of the gala, is to get people in the room and say, hey, we're new. We're trying to make something happen. We've shown that we can do it by ourselves, but we can do a lot more with other people. But Duchess is great. That's where it's
Is
going to
that where
be.
it's going
That's
to
where
be?
it's going to
Okay.
be, is at Duchess. Duchess has done other things for us, so it's great. They're supporting us for the gala. The majority of the money for ticket sales comes right to bridging gaps. Um, Duchess has done other things. We've developed some great, unique partnerships. Uh, I mentioned we do the different events around the community. So Duchess also supplies their delicious crab soup for Soups and Santa. So there's a Soups and Santa event that happens in Oakland each year, like just before Christmas time, and Duchess has supplied the soups for that. Mountains,
How did I miss that? I don't know.
it's great.
Sounds
Um,
amazing.
because we don't like to do just what everyone else is doing. They were like, bring soups. So I also reached out to Mountain State, and they, for the last 2 years, they open up the store early that day so that they can make pizzas, and they do Mountain State cheesy bread, and they bring it to Soups and Santa. Um, so it's been really great kind of working with some of these people. So the gala is just another really good example of that, where the community comes together and people are messaging me, I know more circus performers. Are you interested? And hey, I got a silent auction item, or I want to paint this thing,
I
or
can juggle.
I mean, I juggle all my responsibilities. Does that count? um,
Very
so
cool. So, what is the goal for that evening? You mentioned building relationships and building trust. Is there a financial goal that you're trying to reach, or a number of tickets you're trying to sell?
So our main goal is to sell our tickets.
Okay.
The area that we're operating in at Dutch's can fit about 100 to 115 people. It's our first gala. I mean, we're not trying to do anything crazy. I'm not trying to pay for 10 years worth of food. I mean, really, if we can sell our tickets, that's going to get us almost half of our operating budget for a
How much
school
are
year.
tickets?
150 a ticket.
Okay.
And so if we can sell our tickets and have some interest in our silent auction items and develop a relationship or a connection for something future, I mean, I'd say that's a mission success. It's our first one. Our planning committee has been great. Uh, we have a lot of really caring people on our team, and so
It's fantastic. I really had no idea. I had seen you all maybe online before, but it's really great to sit down and learn the details and kind of the inner workings of how you all are making a difference here in Garrett County. Is there anything else you'd like to share or any?
yeah, that we don't do it alone,
Mhm.
right? So, um, you know, for example, there's like a lot of businesses in the area that are also willing to help, right? So, I mentioned Dutch's, I mentioned Mountain State. Another thing is over at Lake and Lure. I was talking to Duffy, and he started that new store,
Mhm.
and I was thinking, like, man, you got a new store, waste, food waste. You're kind of still working out your inventory, kind of stuff. And so I talked to him. And I said, hey, do you have any like food that's going to expire before it expires that you're not going to get off the shelves? Well, yeah, we're still working on refining our plan and this kind of thing. So, well, would you be willing to donate it to Bridging Gaps? And it was tax deductible. You can donate your food before it expires, Bridging Gaps, and then we'll bring it to the school and we can load their food pantry in the school. So the food doesn't go into our bags because our bags are kind of specific. Um, but any food is better than no food, right? And there's needy families, there's needy children that are outside of our program and outside of the other programs that are in the county. So he started donating, and now it doesn't even come into my possession. He just brings it right to the school, or the school, they do their own thing. And so he can donate to Bridging Gaps, and Bridging Gaps can help kind of facilitate that relationship. And it's things like that. And so, if other businesses have ways that they think that they could help, and by donating would be beneficial to them rather than selling something at cost, or um, instead of clearancing a pair of gloves and selling it for $3, maybe you could donate them to Bridging Gaps, and Bridging Gaps could then provide those resources to the kids. And so, we try to be kind of agile in our mission, but also in how we do business. And we understand that there are struggling businesses and slow times and things like that. And so, um, we just kind of letting people know that we're here, that if you have creative ways that you want to help, that would also help you as a business and us as a nonprofit. Like, we're here and open to those ideas. Another thing that we've done, I'm just looking at my list here because I always forget everything right when you ask me a question. Another thing that we've done is we've also worked with some local folks in the community who needed community service hours. So, obviously careful about, what types of things or who we work with, but, um, you know, maybe a traffic violation or something like that. If you get a ticket or you been in trouble a couple times and you need some community service hours, we've helped one, two, maybe five people just off the top of my head. They volunteer with us. It's great. They're a part of our mission. They're good people, whatever. And we write them letters of recommendation. We sign off on their service hours that they might need for their violation or whatever. And so it's just another thing that we can do to help. And some people, they stay engaged after their service hours are complete. Hey, thank you. I really want to keep working. I really want to keep helping. I really want to continue, being a part of this. And I think it has an overall net positive impact, both on them and their directions, but also on us and needing volunteers and that kind of thing.
It's been a really amazing talking to you and learning more. And I think when we chat offline, I have some ideas that are already rising up, like make connections that maybe we could make to just further the mission. So it's incredible. Good job.
Yeah, well,
200 kids for 2 years. Right?
yeah, thank you. It's my wife, she really leads with her heart, and she all the things I mentioned here, there's a lot of things that are, on the ground, coordinating and picking up food and packing bags and all that stuff, and outreach and building these relationships. And that's kind of me on the forward facing side of things, right? But really the driver behind much of this is my wife, Lisa, and all the things in the background, right? It's not easy to do the paperwork and the logistics of starting a nonprofit and making sure you have all your things filed with the county and the state and the federal government and your tax deductions and all the receipts for the donations and um, uh, just finance side of it, making sure that every single dollar coming in is accounted for on every single dollar coming out, and doing the taxes and assembling the board meetings and the slides. And so there's all these things on the front side, which you think, okay, that's a nonprofit, then all the things on the back side, and it's a business, right? And so being able to execute that. And so she's been doing great with that. I will say, a shameless plug, we're always looking for volunteers. We need people to help with events planning and coordinating and helping us with setting up booths at these different events. Our website could use a little work. We kind of just do these things as we have time, as we have bandwidth, as we can figure them out. So we're always looking for people who are willing to participate, and maybe you can't come pack bags, but maybe you don't mind sitting at home fixing our website up for a half a day and that kind of thing. So there's a lot of people that are doing the things, and a lot of people that have helped us along the way, our donors and our from the big ones to the small ones, and all the businesses that have helped out, and provided items for our raffles or our silent auctions, and people reaching out, hey, come to this event, and giving us a good spot at the event, and that kind of stuff. So we really do appreciate and acknowledge like all these people who have done a lot to kind of help us get to where we are.
Absolutely. So what's the best way to contact you all and just see if there's a way you can help?
So, you can email us, bridginggapsnonprofit@gmail.com. You can go to our website, bridginggapsnonprofit.org, and there's contact information there. You can subscribe to our newsletter. We try not to reach out unless we have a quarterly newsletter, or if we have some sort of special event like the shoe thing or something like that, or the gala, we'll say, hey guys, this is kind of something special we have going on. Also, my phone number is all over all of our materials. It's on our website. Say it here. It's 301-830-1697. You can call me, text me. We're always looking for opportunities where we can grow, where we can do what we're doing better, more efficiently, more effectively. Volunteers, resources, sponsors, that kind of thing.
Awesome. Well, thank you for taking the time to chat here this morning. It's been really great learning about your nonprofit, and you're doing great work. So
yeah, thank you.
yeah, take care.